Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I'll talk about travelling. It's titled Travel and Culture, but it's more about travelling. So I'll try and give you a little bit of information about myself. When I was a kid, my dad gave me a Children's World Atlas, which is a book about maps and pictures of the world. He also had lots of old National Geographic magazines. And for some reason I became interested in all these photographs of all different exotic places all around the world. My dad was in the Navy, which he travelled around the world on ships, and he always told me tales of his adventures and travels. And I think when I was a young boy, all his stories and reading about all these books, I became interested in travel and want to know all about the world. Our family, when I was young, we went to Spain quite a lot, and also I went to France and Italy when I was a teenager. But my first big escape to get away from home is that I went to America when I was younger to study and work. My friends persuaded me to go, so I ended up studying there and working there. I travelled a lot within the United States, and I love travelling so much that I ended up doing a thing called drive-aways, which is you get a car and you deliver cars all over the United States. So I found this was a great way to travel in America. So I used to drive from LA to Connecticut, Chicago to Houston, New Orleans to San Francisco, all over, so I could get some experience traveling. One time when I didn't have a car, I hitchhiked from Los Angeles to Seattle, and that's kind of like going from Hong Kong to Beijing. It's quite a long way, but I don't recommend that you do that, so it's quite hard to do. But anyway, after studying in university, I came to Taiwan, and I'm a teacher here. I'm sorry to say I can't speak Chinese, but I know quite a lot about Taiwan. I've travelled in Taiwan a lot. I know the difference between Lu Shoulian and I know Yenqing Biao. So I know a few people in Taiwan. So I've travelled in Taiwan quite a bit, and I've travelled in China and Japan. Well, my biggest travel that I really enjoyed was a few years ago I did a 12-month travel, and I decided to go to Australia and New Zealand for 5 months, and the South Pacific for 3 months, and after that I went to Chile, and then the United States, and then to the UK. I enjoyed it so much that the following year I did it again. I did it for 8 months, and I went to South Pacific, the US and the UK. Many people will wonder how I did that and why I did it. Well, the reason I wanted to travel for so much originally was when I went to Australia and New Zealand, I wanted to see if it was a good place to live. The answer to that is yes and no. Australia is a great place to retire, but no if you want to get rich. So you can decide yourself. But I think the most interesting part of my travels was when I went to the South Pacific. I learned how to scuba dive, which is diving with the oxygen tank, etc., in a place called Rarotonga. And I managed to get a job on a boat travelling through the islands of French Polynesia, which is very interesting. When I worked on the boat, it was my job to look at the radar. And one night I was looking at the radar screen, and I was sitting there, and I saw a big black object coming closer and closer and closer to the boat. I was worried, so I looked out of the window, and I couldn't see anything, because we were in the ocean, miles away from anywhere. So I ran downstairs to wake the captain up. The captain came and looked at the radar screen, and laughing, he told me, "Don't worry about it, it's a cloud." Shows how much I know about radar. But I had a very enjoyable time on the boat. Sometimes they're very exciting. One time there was a whale swimming around the boat, so we all jumped in the water, and this whale swam around us, about the size of a city bus. So it was very exciting. It's also very scary when you realise that the water you're swimming in the open ocean, in some places, when you look into the deep blue beneath your moving legs, and you realise that the ocean floor is about 18,000 feet beneath you, it gives you a very strange feeling. Anyway, to say how I did that, some people will think maybe you need to win the lottery to travel for a long time. You do need some money, but I think mostly you need determination and curiosity to do that. But I worked in Australia. I worked at some hostels to pay my way. I worked on a farm on a Pacific island. And when I was on the boat, I worked on the boat for my accommodation, and also that will cover my transportation. In the US, I stayed with relatives, and in the UK, I stayed with friends, and in the UK, I stayed with my family. But also for flying, I think some people will wonder, you've got to take many flights. So the only way I arranged it for flying was, if you buy a round-the-world ticket, I took about 25 flights. If you take a round-the-world ticket, you can connect all of the flights together, and all of the airlines are together in this program. And if you fly one direction, you can manage to arrange this. It's much cheaper than flying separately. So I will say to many people in Taiwan, many young people like yourself, when you finish school, maybe before you get married or have kids, maybe some of you do, but before you get older, I recommend traveling. If you get a chance, get a friend and go and travel somewhere and work somewhere. And if I can do it, you don't need to win the lottery to do it. Thank you very much.